Woo! Another week. Man. Tom, AEW Dynamite. It was awesome last night, for lack of a better term, right? It's really good. I'm excited that we're going to be here. We're going to be talking about it. We are going to be discussing this with the fans. Spoiler alert, some of you might not even be aware we're about to discuss this with you, but more on that later. We just love talking to folks about AEW Dynamite, and we are going to do it. That's what we're here to do on this live stream where you can see us. By the way, podcast listeners, we love you. We like that you're podcast listeners. But you could also be live stream viewers right here live with us every week on Thursday nights at precisely 7:28 on the clock right there. Nailed it. Every time, Tom. Every time.
Every time.
Fail. We are awesome. Tom, I want people to know we have revamped AllEliteWrapup.com, providing some more content, more so to just plug you into some great stuff about AEW and some news and some happenings and things like that, because that's what we love to talk about, so we want you to know about it. So check out AllEliteWrapup.com. You may also notice two fancy new links up there at the top that say donate. You can donate to this show via PayPal or Cash App, and all that does is helps us offset some costs, right? And look, you could give us $1. If you listen to this show and you're like, I really like that. These guys entertained me. That was fun. I'm going to give them $1. You can just go there and give us $1. Isn't that amazing? Or you could set it up weekly, or you can set it up monthly. It could be whatever you choose, because I know some of you are big ballers, right? And what's $1 a month to you big ballers, right? Or $1 a week, or $1 just because you said, man, I like this episode. I give those
Yes,
guys
exactly.
$1. So do that.
Yeah.
Do that.
Hey, go ahead.
No, what were you going to say?
Okay, good. I'll go. Hey, it's opening day in America for international listeners. We got a great baseball season upon us. The Kansas City Royals had their opening day festivities, which was a good time. Unfortunately, we lost, but hey, you can't win them all. The good part about it looks like we found our ace, and Cole Reagans set a Royals record for most strikeouts on an opening day, which, if you don't know baseball loves to have all of those stats. There are so many stats. The funnest stat that I heard today was the pitcher that was the opening day starter for the Dodgers was only the second pitcher ever to have 2 Tommy John surgeries and then start on opening day. How specific, but that's the kind of records they keep in baseball. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I think you would love baseball. I know people like to say it's so boring, but I would tell you, fucking grow up. It's a really fun sport. And so, almost took everything down there. So yeah, that was happening today. Also had some fun. Added to my collection here, got my guy Ura from the Sumo Grand Prix. He's the bad boy because he wears pink. And again, if you're a podcast listener, you would see what I'm showing. Or excuse me, if you're a YouTube listener, you would see what I'm showing here. But yeah, man, last night was a good episode of Dynamite. I'm still getting excited because we're going to Dynasty on August 21st in St. Louis. Everything's so much fun right now.
We also got 2 tickets for sale. If anybody wants to go, we have 2 extra tickets you can buy. Hit us up. You want links on that? Could be going fast. Tom, I'm excited to talk about the awesome AEW Dynamite that we had. I'm also excited to talk to folks about it. And there are many ways that folks, like Theo P here in the chat says, remember John Tenta's sumo match? Remember that, Tom?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So you can
John
get the
Tenta.
YouTube chat. And Tom is big into the sumo now, so maybe we'll talk about that later with Theo P75 here in the chat. But you can get the YouTube chat with us. You can also go on Threads. You can go on Threads. You can add us, or if you're using hashtag AEW Dynamite, we might just use that on the show and talk about whatever you said during Dynamite. So heads up for that. Watch out. It's a landmine out here. All right, Tom, you can also send an email to aewrapup@gmail.com. And I'm talking about a letter. I'm talking about a phone call if you want to send us an audio clip. I'm talking about a video. You want to send us a video like a TikTok. Send us something. We'll talk about it here on the show because we want to make friends and we want to talk about AEW Dynamite. And we happen to have a voicemail, Tom. Somebody left us a voicemail on the All Elite voice machine. The All Elite Wrap-Up.
It's a contributor at this point. You know, I would say at this point in our infancy of All Elite Wrap-Up, Ash would be considered a contributor.
He is the All Elite Wrap-Up's official senior European correspondent.
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to say that. Yes.
Right.
And
here we go.
And Ash, if you would like to put that in any of your bios of any social media, any resumes, feel free. You can use that.
Feel free. Right. Yes. And anything that you secure because of that, though, we get 5%. All right, Ash. Let's go. That's on the honor system. I'm letting him say when it happens.
There you go.
Just think about us. There is a donate button. That's all I'm saying. All right, Ash.
All right, boys. Super quick one. I'm watching Dynamite right now, and the only thing I want to say is Mercedes Moné is a terrible commentator. Just going to throw that out there. And Julia Hart just hit Willow Nightingale in the back with a title. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Also, my question for you guys this week is, what is top 5 multi-person wrestling matches? Don't care, like any match, 3 or more people. Don't care what it is. That's for you guys. Top 5 of those, okay? Yeah, see you later. I'm off now. I'm not working tomorrow, so I'm probably going to be in the chat room marking out to my own voice. And if I'm not, well, you suck. Version of me that's listening to this on Friday morning. Fuck you, idiot. Okay, safe boys. Have a good show.
Hell yeah.
Yes, hell yeah. And I'm glad he mentioned Mercedes being terrible on commentary, because Ethiopia in the chat says, he beat me to it. I was going to mention how Mercedes Moné is awful on commentary, and Jeffrey Sills in the chat says Mercedes is terrible on commentary. So
you know what I'll say?
Consensus.
Yes, but I will say this, because again, I'm still trying to stay positive and patient with this for 2 reasons. 1, I just think it's better to do. And 2, AEW is like I still have a love. It's a passion for me. So I don't want to hate things that are a part of my passion, right? I will say for this one specifically, this week specifically, could be nerves, right? Because if you think about it from her perspective, she's always had, and I'm maybe making up just a little bit here, Vince in her ear, Michael Cole to her left. She's by her friends. There's Bailey, there's Charlotte, there's Becky. You know what I mean? Making up those kind of scenarios. And so now she's by herself. Here's Excalibur, who she probably doesn't know that well. Taz, who she probably doesn't know that well. And then she's talking about women like Willow and Julia Hart and, Sky Blue and Anna Jay, who she doesn't know that well. So maybe it was because of that. Now, there's also a body of work that would disagree with me and say she's always been that way. But I'm trying to be positive and patient with the first time she's done commentary.
Yeah, nobody agrees with you there in the chat.
Oh, I didn't say, but I'm just saying consider the other side of the coin. That's all I'm saying.
Now, Jeffrey Sill said she did seem excited to see the women get down, and I will agree with that. Yes. I just think it's a lot of nothing. She doesn't say things. She says catchphrases, I think, and just words. So it sounds weird. I know everybody's only saying words, but you know what I mean. But Ash brought up a great question, Tom. We're going to discuss our top 5 multi-person matches, and this is a bit rough because it's a little bit on the spot, right? We both just encountered this like as we were loading up the show. So interesting. We're going to say this is the top 5 that we could come up with on short notice, but I think I got a pretty solid 5. What do you think?
I got a solid theme. I just noticed after looking at my list, I got someone I think who's throughout, well, no, not every match, but damn near all of them.
Tom has a type. All right.
Yes. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You want to go back and forth? You want to do let's go.
Yes.
This is
I'll
not
go
necessarily
5
in
to
order,
1.
but I definitely have a 1. Let's see. Let me do a 1.
We'll do 1 last.
Actually, okay. 5, I'm going to do Lucha Bros and Young Bucks in the cage. I forget what event that was. Was that one of those special Dynamites where we saw that?
No, that was a pay-per-view.
Cage match all the time. Yeah.
But is that a multi-man or is that just a tag team?
He said anything 3 or more. So if you want to throw them in, throw them in. That's what I'm including.
But that's anything a tag team. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's 4 people.
Hey, no. That's it. Yes, it is technically 4 people. Yes. Okay.
Right.
All right. I will go. And I will go to the Royal Rumble 2015.
Oh, man.
Brock Lesnar, John Cena, and the Money in the Bank potential cash-in scenario of Mr. Money in the Bank, Seth Rollins. Those 3 guys fucking threw down. Seth Rollins, I felt like, was the MVP of the match because he kind of gave up his body and did the most crazy stuff compared to the other two. But because of the stature of who those two guys were, Brock Lesnar and John Cena, less is more sometimes. And so I felt like they did really good by adding some more drama and storytelling because of who we know they are. So I would go, that would be my number 5. Okay. Royal Rumble 2015, Brock, Cena, Rollins.
So 4, I'm going with, again, this multi-man to me, but it's a triple threat tag team, I guess. TLC WrestleMania 17, right? We're going.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That would just be what I would think is yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just and iconic to this day. And then they tried to replicate it many times. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, to good success to some extent, but everything that encapsulated that era of wrestling, I think, was in that match, right?
Yes. Yeah. Everything that you would say outside of, Rock Austin was that match. You know what I mean? Like that's the storytelling, Rock Austin and all different iterations, Intercontinental
that was
Champion,
Attitude Era right there, right? It was people in weird clothes, right? Like doing suggestive things and beating the shit out of each other with objects. Jeffrey Sills, going back to the Lucha Bros, Young Bucks, he says that's the second best tag team match he's ever watched and the match that made him a fan of AEW. Phenomenal.
Oh, good. Yes. Yeah. Look, that was a match that I would say in the Spanish announce table history was maybe the turning point. And Tim, I'll maybe speak for you a little bit, but that would be the turning point, I think, for us from, man, fuck these Young Buck guys. They keep saying they're fucking good to, okay, well, maybe they're pretty good. You know what I mean? I think that was our turning point from, okay, whatever, sure, they're wrestling with friends too. Well, those might be friends, but that was still fucking great. So, all right, go with your number 4 there, Tim.
It was the TLC.
Oh, yes. I'll go number 4.
Right,
yes,
right.
yes. I'm going number 4. I am going to go SummerSlam 2017, Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. This is like a fast-paced meat match. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also because, again, I think as much as it's cool to see mid-card guys, like you mentioned, that match transcends, but that was the mid-card, right? That wasn't the main event of that pay-per-view. When you have the main event guys or girls going a little bit above and beyond, I give it a little bit more credit because I've said this millions of times throughout the 10 plus years we've been doing this, but I think the hardest thing to do is to meet the expectation when you are walking into a situation where like, well, obviously it's going to be great. I think that's harder to do than, well, let's see what these fuckers can do. And then they're like, oh, awesome. Right. So that's why I put main event matches just a little bit more. But
what was that match that they had Edge and who were trying to do the greatest wrestling match of all time?
Edge and Orton. Yeah.
It was like, how the hell are these guys ever supposed to live up to that, you assholes?
Well, and also WWE, who's never used the word wrestling before, all of a sudden says a wrestling match, you fucking assholes.
Yeah.
But
man, what the fuck?
Joe, Roman, Strowman, SummerSlam 2017. Remember one of those names because you're going to hear them probably a lot.
A couple times. Jeffrey Sills is saying one of them names, and I think the one he's picking might be on your list, so I'm going to hold off because I don't want to do any spoilers. If I know Tom, it might be on there. All right, I'm going to go with a wild number 3 that, again, I was trying to do this quickly off the top of my head at the last minute, but this one sticks out as good storytelling. It's the Kofi Gauntlet, right? Remember the Kofi Gauntlet?
Way to think outside the box.
Yeah,
that's a good
right?
one. Yes.
Great storytelling there with the Usos and all that. Real good stuff. Loved that match.
That is a good call out. Because, I would just, very good. Very good job.
And Kofi was so like, he was there dying. Yeah. You know what I mean? And everybody's like looking down on him with pity. Awesome. Yes. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was great. All right, I'm going number 3, 2002 Vengeance. Kurt Angle, The Rock, and Undertaker. This was all 3 guys doing each other's moves. This was Rock coming in as like, am I going to be like the fucking man? Right? Like this was almost he's to Hollywood, but is he the apex? Because we got Kurt Angle still kind of holding it down for one side. Undertaker was still very much in the main event picture as well. So all three of those combustible elements, and they obviously had great chemistry together as well. But I really, really liked that triple threat match.
That was awesome. This is good stuff, man. This is good stuff. I like this. This was a great question. All right, my number 2. This for a while might have been my number 1 because it just sticks out as wrestling in my mind when you talk wrestling. It's Bash at the Beach. It's the main event. It's the Hulk Hogan is the third man. All of the theatrics around that, right? The anticipation, the surprise, all of that. That right there was pro wrestling, especially in the 90s, done like meta, right? Like everything about pro wrestling right there. There's the swerve, there's the big names, there's the flash, right? There's the shock, all of that. Loved it. Bash.
Yes.
97.
Yes,
right? 97. Yeah.
Yeah. Iconic. Awesome. Definitely on
NWO.
everyone's list.
Start of the NWO.
Yes.
Hogan,
right. Shocking.
Fucking trash.
Yeah. You look at the ring after the match is over. You got that there too. So yeah, great match. All right, I'm going number 2. These are now my more personal favorites because, there's some honorary list. As we're making this list out, more matches
like
are coming to my mind.
Gator?
Well, more matches are coming to my mind, like November to Remember 1997, Terry Funk, Shane Douglas, Sabu. Fucking love that match. That's one of them. But I'm going to go, this may not be on a lot of people's list. It's super quick. Everyone gets their fun in, and it's on the grandest stage of them all at WrestleMania. WrestleMania 22, Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. This is when Rey Mysterio gets his championship. He did it all for Eddie. Outside of even that's the storytelling from it. This is Kurt Angle, almost wrestling machine time period, right? When he was just like, I'm fucking people up and we know how great I am. Randy Orton, apex prick, like fucking everyone hated that asshole.
Devilish,
I just like,
right?
it's not that long of a match.
Would steal from your mother, right?
Well, that was when he was like, "Hey Ray, let's talk to Eddie," and he looks down. Like
that's what I mean. Like he was just sinister, just evil
a
fuck.
fucking asshole. But it's fast. There, don't go up to get a cup of coffee or anything because by the time you come back, the match is over. And I think sometimes those matches need to be considered as greats because it doesn't always have to be 15 plus minutes, right? Sidebar here real quick, just to go on a quick tangent, because I consider one of the best matches, and I'm being dead serious when I say this, but is the second WrestleMania match between Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, where they just do finishers the entire fucking time. Like there's not another move other than a spear or a F5 or
it's a unique story, right? Like
that's the fucking thing. Yeah. And it's fun. And it's like 6 minutes.
Well, and that was the story, is like, who can just out brute you? Like, and nobody could do that to either guy. So who wins? All right.
And it was eye-catching because, like the classics always do, there's 6 minutes of just arm drags and fucking headlocks and drop kicks. And you're like, I can fucking leave and come back and they're still going to
eliminate the rest holds. There might be the
not
same
even
amount
that.
of
Just
action.
eliminate the beats, right? We've got to do this to this. No, if I'm going to fight you, right, I'm going to try to hit my finisher right now. So like, anyhow, that was a side tangent, but
I'm gonna see if I can get lucky on the first swing, right? And
right, exactly. So,
right.
Anyhow,
I thought for a second, I considered briefly, but I don't know this is technically multi-man, although multi people were involved. When you started saying WrestleMania, it was the Bret Hart McMahon, but I think that was technically wasn't that a one-on-one? Didn't that?
Are you saying that was a good match, Tim?
You said you loved that. You said you loved how like the story of it all, like where they got to bring him all in and beat his ass. That's basically the point of it. I mean, Bret Hart sucks.
I hate that match. That's one of my like top. I hate that match.
Yeah, of course. I mean, think about who we're considering. Of course, it's not all that. Yeah.
No, that's in my top 3. It's like Bret Hart, McMahon, Brothers of Destruction versus DX. Hey, there's some.
That was what I was gonna jokingly throw in as an honorable mention to piss you off.
And then you go. Oh shit! Now I just lost my train of thought there. Then you go.
I thought you
Jeff
told me
Hardy
you loved
versus
this.
Sting.
Oh,
No,
yeah, the Jeff
I
Hardy
hate
thing.
Yeah.
That's why I thought you were going there. All right. Well, my number one then, and this is the unequivocal number one. If it's not your number one, anybody here, it's wrong. It's the fucking Stadium Stampede match. The goddamn Stadium Stampede match is the best wrestling match of all time, let alone multi-person wrestling match of all time. Nothing is fucking better than now he's dead. Now he's fucking dead. Like, it's the greatest match ever.
Dude, what a fucking call. Man, you beat me. Yes, this is the list. Yeah, you beat me.
It's so
I
good.
fucking
It was
love
such
that
a fun
match.
I'll watch it tonight. It was so fun.
I have a fucking poster of it hanging up in my basement right outside this office. I love that match.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, you won. I don't even want to say mine now.
All right, what's number 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah, because that is number one. It's from Unbreakable 2005, Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles versus Christopher Daniels. This is a match that was so good to me that I actually took note of TNA. This was a match where I was like, okay, one thing that always caught my eye when I was flipping the channels or trying to stay on a wrestling show like a TNA, when it was even on Fox Sports, if you remember that back in the day, was AJ Styles doing that backflip backwards, like Scorpion Death Drop, where he would like go and do that. I was like, what the fuck? That's cool as shit, right? Yeah. And so then I was like, well, who's this guy? Let me take a look at him. And that match had already happened before. And so I go to a Suncoast or a FYE, whatever the fuck it was. And I got the DVD of the best of AJ Styles. And that was a match on there. And I watched that fucking thing maybe 10 times, like within the weekend.
Good stuff.
This is so fucking good. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, and I think that's what Jeffrey Sills was referencing earlier. I was like, I know that's got to be on Tom's list. He says here, that match is what I wanted from Swerve, Hangman, and Joe.
Hey, Swerve, Hangman, and Joe was also very good. I liked it from a storyline perspective, especially with the commentators giving you the cliffhanger to move forward, right? Did Hangman tap out because, oh shit, I'm stuck in this? Or did Hangman tap out because, fuck you, Swerve, if I'm not winning, neither are you.
If it ain't you, I'm fine with it being not me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good match from a storyline perspective. But yeah, I think Unbreakable 2005 with those three guys is one of the all-time greats. That's one of the rare matches where, I'm not a big moves guy, right? Like the moves kind of, but that one, you don't even need to know the story. Just fucking watch it and you're going to be like, well, that was the shit. And I'm like, yeah, that was the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, them dudes could go, especially then too, man. That was prime stuff. That was real good stuff. Also, prime stuff is when Ash Hendricks sends us a call each week, our official senior European correspondent, Ash Hendricks. You too can have a spot here on the show. Send us something, aewrapup@gmail.com, right? Videos, phone calls, emails. We love them. And also on the threads, we're going to have some threads that we're going to get into as we talk about AEW Dynamite. Tom, it was a fun episode.
Yes, it was. And let's get right to it. So got another episode of Dynamite as we lead to the next pay-per-view, which I mentioned is AEW Dynasty in St. Louis on April 21st. And we kick off the show with some heavy hitters here. We got Will Ospreay versus Shibata. And Tim, before I give you my 2 cents, what do you got for us there with Ospreay versus Shibata?
I got some thoughts, but also I want to look to the crowd, right? Sometimes I want to gauge what others think, right, before I just go willy-nilly and start shouting out what I think, right? I got to gauge, make sure I don't have mania or something like that. So we turned to the threads, and we found somebody talking about this using the hashtag AEW Dynamite. Reminder, if you use that on threads, we might find you. And this one right here is from Bleary Line 7. He says, I'm never going to complain about the let's open our TV show with a fucking banger philosophy. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. And yeah, that's what this was. I even said it, I think, on the threads. I said, man, we're starting this off with a good old wrestling match here. Some mat wrestling. This guy's got on the ground and started twisting and slapping and fucking pulling, and you know what I mean? I loved it. I loved all of this, man. This thing, I like that AEW does this, right? We know a big match is coming. We're opening with it to get you hyped, right? And get everybody involved. You get that crowd rolling, and then almost right out of that, they roll into, now we can give you some vignettes to kind of further the stories that we're getting into, right?
Yep, 100%. I liked the match by itself. easy, right? It's a very good match. It's something that if it was on a streaming service, I might watch again, right? It was that good. I also like that Osprey beats Danielson in a different way than when Danielson beat Shibata. Or excuse me, when Osprey beat Shibata is a different way than when Danielson beat Shibata, right? It wasn't the same like, well, if you're
Right.
going to submit him, so am I. It was two different totally style matches. The one thing that I think that suffered, and it's not his fault in the slightest, but Shibata kind of comes out of this looking like well, that guy ain't gonna
I said
get a
that last
title.
week. I was like, poor Shibata, what this guy do? He's thinking,
Yeah,
come on,
you know?
guys. You couldn't have picked
Yeah.
somebody else to do this with?
Because that could have been a good swerve where if you wanted to, which I'm not saying you should, but if Shibata beats Osprey, then he can insert himself into this and be like, let's make it a triple threat because I beat him, you beat me, but then I beat you, and all that kind of stuff. And then you could have done that. But for what it was, yeah, it was great. It got you going. AEW does a fantastic job. I will say this. They kind of flipped the script as far as wrestling shows go, at least in my mind, where the trope has always been, let's get you invested. Here's a promo or here's a recap. And then our first match is mid-card guy versus curtain jerker, right? This, like AEW, generally speaking, it's, hey, you're here for Osprey. Well, he's here now. Be here now. At 7:00, one true time zone. That's when he comes.
We've discussed this a few times. In today's thing, they're not just measuring the TV station ratings. They're measuring social media. They're measuring a bunch of other things to determine the success for this and to sell advertising against. And so gone are the days of like, we've got you for 2 hours, so we're going to give you this stuff while we build up anticipation. We're going to lose you if we don't give you the bangers. Right? So we got to give you the bangers coming out right out of the gate. Keep you here.
Well, yeah, and it also it conditions you to say, hey, I got to stop stuff right now and I got to get to this because I may not get a recap or a replay of what I missed at the top of the show. Now,
people are going to be all over threads talking about this. I gotta be in the conversation. Right.
Yeah. And again, obviously people, have DVR and can rewind, but you understand the point there.
Right. But it's not the same when you're not in with the community here, with the 100% Wrapup fans and all of that.
100%. Yeah.
So like
Osprey gets the victory after an about 20-minute match, I think it was. And we go right from that to the backstage, actually the parking lot, and we see Okada arrive in some fucking nice car. I'm not a car guy, but it looked like a nice car.
It was a nice car.
And so there he is. And then we get the tag team title tournament first round match. A rematch of the last time I believe we did a tag team title eliminator tournament match. It's the Young Bucks, which again, let's get away from that. Let's just call them Matthew and Nicholas Jackson.
Well, I think we are. If you'll notice, the rankings came out. They don't have him listed as the Young Buck. It's Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. And they still say it, but they say Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, the Young Bucks, right? I think maybe we're phasing out. I would hope.
Yeah.
Because we're not young.
But
guys.
they're taking
on. Not young.
Yeah, they're taking on Private Party. And I'll just say this before I throw it over to you. I think I said it on our Threads account, but the Private Party entrance is fucking awesome. I love it. There's so much you can do if you wanted to go more heel with them or more babyface with them. Like just the entrance alone, you can have a ton of fun with. Yeah. And so I think push that thing to the moon. Obviously, they're a good tag team in their own right, but that entrance I think is money into it.
Yeah, well, before getting into that, I got two threads that we should go to about this situation. But since you highlighted Private Party, we'll start with them. And this one comes from Must Be Colin. He says, I'm so happy Private Party is back. Hopefully we get more tag team feuds after the tournament, not just for the belts. I can't wait for them to mix it up with Lucha Bros when Phoenix returns. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. And yes. We were just talking about the Lucha Bros and the awesomeness they can do in a tag team match. Yeah, seeing them with this new kind of confident Private Party would be a fun situation.
Yeah, I think that would be a great first program for them after this tournament. Or again, I don't know the timeline of when Ray Phoenix is going to come back, but match that up basically is what I'm saying. Maybe even give them a win over another kind of, workhorseman with Anthony Henry and JD Drake, someone like, I know Anthony Henry got hurt, but you know what I'm saying? Some team in that realm would be good. And then move them to Lucha Bros. Because the Lucha Bros, again, are former tag team champs, right? They're no chumps. So doing something
let's get
to that
Private
effect.
Party over. I know Private Party are heels, but like you could put them up against Gates of Agony or something, right? And get them a solid team that like people are like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Like a solid team that's a team, right? You may steal from ROH for this, right? But solid team that is a team, has been a team, right? And is an upper tier team, and they beat them clean, beat them square, right? Because they're better.
Yeah, I think that would be 100% welcomed for them to move up against the upper echelon of the tag team division.
But those Kingdom fucks.
Yeah, but they're champions, so you'd have to get through a couple more.
Yeah,
but in this,
I think than my suggestion earlier to you.
Yeah, but in this, the Young Bucks end up getting the victory. So Private Party does not repeat their first round success from the previous tournament, and we get the Young Bucks, walking around here smelling their own dick, saying that they're so fucking cool. What do you think? What do you think about Young Bucks advancing?
I agree with another threader here. Damned Tourist says, great heel work by our EVPs. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. And I think you said it on Threads. They are absolute pricks. And it is amazing. These guys are so detestable, so skeevy. And boy, Young Buck 2, whichever one that is really working the fucking quips where you're like, did that motherfucker just say that? Like, what did he say to Renee later in the show? I forget. He was like, you should smile more or something like that.
Oh, Matt Jackson. Yeah.
Oh, was it Matt? Was he? It was the one who said that one. But I mean, they're both of them even are just, you know what I mean? They're pushing, they're kind of close to pushing the envelope with some of the things they say in this idea of like, we're fuckheads, right? And I love it. I love it.
Yes. Jeffrey Sills says it was Nicholas, which maybe it was. I don't have a good memory.
All right.
I will say, what's awesome or really good about this elite version is, they've always said, play, who you are, but turn it up to 12 or whatever the fucking volume is, right? And I feel 100% that the Young Bucks are naturally annoying, abrasive jerk offs. Nicely. I don't think they're bad people, but I think
they probably think they're really smart. They probably think you know what I mean? You're not.
They have to, they always have to add one more joke when everyone was kind of done with the conversation. Those kind of guys. But the other part that I think is so good, and this is just me reading off of my limited experience of seeing Okada, is it feels like Okada is actually a good person. It feels like he's being corrupted by the Young Bucks. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, dude, you're not this way. Stop it. And he's like, no, I am. I'm totally this way. And it's like, that's almost more frustrating. It's because it's like, no, be nice. You want to be nice. We know you want to be nice.
You could have got to this company without them. You don't have to do their bidding. Yeah. Right.
You don't have to do this, right? Like, just stop that, man. And so he kind of plays off of, at least to me, this is my observation. He plays well off of these guys are exactly who we thought they are. Fucking get them out of here. They suck. I don't like them. In a kayfabe way.
Jeffrey Sill says they probably think their God is better than your God. Their God would beat up your God in a cage match. And that might have nailed it right there. Hashtag nailed it.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
And as Theo says here in the chat, both of them still have T-Mac blocked. Yep.
Yeah.
You call them, you say one thing, calling them the young cunts, and all of a sudden they get so mad. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Take a joke.
Just being a heel over here, right?
Yeah, we're just being a heel, just using some fun language. Okay, come on, get over it.
Right, yeah. If we were in England, you would consider it a fucking a compliment.
Yeah, they say it over there all the time. I just had my honeymoon over in London.
Where's Ash? Yeah, we need our senior European correspondent here to help us.
No joke. All right, so then we get to the top of the hour, and Tim, it's not before the main event, which is a good switch up. We get a 4-way match, and it's not a fatal 4-way because no one fucking dies. So stop saying it's fatal 4-way. But we get a 4-way match between everyone's favorite Willow Nightingale. Side note, if she's not your favorite, you have no heart.
Willow!
Not that Willow.
Okay, sorry. Trigger, happy with that one.
Willow.
Yeah. Sorry. You want it again?
Anna Jay.
You were looking at me like you were wanting me to... All right, sorry.
Is this going to be the new PS?
No, no. We're done with it today. Yeah, right.
It's Willow Nightingale versus Anna Jay versus Chris Statlander versus the dastardly Sky Blue.
Yes.
And Mercedes Moné is on commentary, as we mentioned. No one liked that. So we don't really have to go too far into that. But what'd you think about this 4-way match between the 4 ladies?
The match I like, and I even posted this on our website, caught an interview recently with Willow, and she said like she likes to still bring this duplicity, if you will, to her character. She's smiling and because she loves what she's doing and she loves to be here, and that's why she's all smiles and happy and loves entertaining the fans. But we're humans, and there is a side of humans of getting your aggression out and committing acts of violence, and that's what I'm here to do. So I understand that in the ring, we got to bring that. So I kind of like this idea that she's like, no, I'm a street fighter. I'm tough. I'm fighting. But we're happy. It's just a great character, and I love it. And, yeah, we flirted with this, like, our Statlander and her cool all the way. We flirted with that in some ways. We got some Taz gold in and out of this match. I'm going to start doing Taz clips. I know we got a bunch of Steiner clips, and those are great, but we really need to start getting some of these Taz clips.
But I digress.
Such good stuff.
Yeah.
But I digress. Yeah. Before we go on, we do have a threads about that. At, I don't know how to say this, Le Mardoni. This person says drinking game shot every time Taz says plethora. Hashtag AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, let's do it.
Might be
let's
dead.
do
Might be dead by the end of the show. Yeah, we could do it live.
That's what I'm saying. If you guys want to see it, we'll do a live watch along, and we'll do that. And tell us what you think.
Saying there's a donate button. If you want to start making suggestions, we're prone to being bribed. Like you know what I mean? We're cheap.
We finished an episode way back in the day drunk. So we'll do some shots live on whatever streaming service you want. So
yeah,
100% down with that.
Yes.
Another thing that I liked about this match was the entrances, because you had Stokely Hathaway walk out with Willow Nightingale to a certain point and was like, hey, but I'm going to go back and walk out with Chris. Like, I just thought that it was funny. He's like, I'm not playing favorite. So I walk out with Willow 1 second. Then I go back. I'm walking out with Statlander. Hey, I love both these girls.
Not just turn around and do the Scott Hall point or anything.
Yeah, he does the legitimate walk back. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Big Stoke.
More clips of Stokely Hathaway too. Don't hate that at all. Here's my question to you. So Willow Nightingale gets the victory here. So she gets the number 1 contenders match against Julia Hart at Dynasty. Okay.
Yes.
We'll get to our picks when we get closer to the pay-per-view as the story progresses. However, I'm giving you the opportunity here, Tim. You've got the pin, as they say. Stokely Hathaway. Which way are you having him lean, assuming that we're having this Statlander Willow Nightingale fallout?
I think what's going to happen is I don't know about the Statlander thing. I do know, I feel in my bones right now, Willow is going to win this TNT title. And this is going to bring more of it's clear from the one thing Mercedes Moné did hit on commentary is expressing that she's not down for any of this Willow nonsense. She does not like Willow. She does not care that the fans like Willow. She does not see what they see in it. She thinks Willow's a bitch and is not down for anything Willow. So I think she's going to then get stink face about this, right? She's going to be upset, and we're going to get a little feud here. And I think therein lies where Stokely Hathaway will do his damage and cost Willow, and we're all going to boo that, and he's going to perhaps be aligned with Mercedes Moné, because I think that would be very useful if we're going to position her as this top thing, to have him be as a mouthpiece. He doesn't have to do every promo, but he should do a bunch. And she's the CEO and he's the executive assistant, right? And,
well, he's kind of done that role before with Jade Cargill, right?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, he could do that again with That's very interesting. I thought, and we got Jeffrey Sills here in the chat real quick. He says Willow's going to beat Julia. I think that is the way we go. And then Willow loses to Mercedes Moné. Mercedes is your TBS champion, all of that kind of stuff.
You think it's Statlander doing the turn?
No, I don't necessarily think it's Statlander. It could be something in the regards to a natural, not like we've got to have a match to solve this. It could just be Willow saying,
you weren't there to help me or whatever.
Well, just Willow saying, I'm going to do this by myself. Okay. And then we just on TV, just don't see her with Stokely. And
look, if you're going to keep hanging out with Stokely, I'm done. Right. Like you do that. And Statlander's like, I mean, I'm doing better with him. You know what I mean? And she just stays.
Well, yes. Well, I think revisiting that down the road, I'm just saying like just a natural, like, oh, whatever happened to Willow hanging out with him?
Yeah,
don't talk about it. Right. But I think of the three, I agree with you. I think if you're wanting the most bang for your buck, you do you do Mercedes Moné with Stokely Hathaway. However, I personally would have Stokely Hathaway with Statlander, because when I was watching the four women walk out, Anna Jay's doing the welcome to the show, almost like a circus ringleader kind of thing, which is whatever. Sky Blue was still doing like the apprentice to the devil, who is Julia Hart, which is, making sense. Willow Nightingale is this ray of sunshine who's conflicted, right? But Statlander, I don't know what the fuck this character is. She does the sign language, which I think is cool and is inclusive. But other than that, I couldn't fucking tell you what she does.
Yeah. Now, before any of this, I've been saying, let's get Stokely to do a Don King-esque thing, right? Like, be like, look at you. Because again, when you said all those names, she's the fucking athlete, right? Like, she looks like she could be a linebacker right now. So, like, he could be like, listen, I can fucking make you the star. You have all the physical talents. You seem to not be able to, like, focus. I got you. I'm gonna fucking weasel and demand you get the matches. I'm gonna make sure some outcomes go our way. You know what I mean? Either by money or by a fucking grab at the leg or whatever. And like, we're going to get you there. And she's like, okay. And she's nice and great. And so she's a little unwilling to do some of the things he says, right? But maybe she starts to get it after a while, right? And she's like, oh, so you kick him in the back of the knee and then you can put a fucking figure 4 on him, right? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I was more thinking of the role of kind of similar to an executive assistant, except for, like you said, more of a promoter for Statlander,
right?
Where you do a backstage
like a
interview. Well, you just do a backstage interview as an example, right? You have Renee Paquette, you have Stokely Hathaway. Renee says, hey, Stokely, your client, Chris Statlander, has a match tonight. And then you hear and Chris Statlander throws Renee up on her shoulders and starts doing squats with her, right? And Stokely takes the mic away and goes, she's always working. We got that grind 24/7. What you're going to see tonight is Statlander's going to rip apart Anna Jay, right? Or whoever it is. And like,
she's hitting the bags or something in the back, and he's standing there being like, and she punches a hole through it, and he's like, look at that.
Right, exactly. Like, don't make her like a machine, but like, the money is in the athlete, and
I
Stokely's
focus this energy now, and you're fucked because of it.
Yes, and Stokely's the one that's saying Don King like only in, and then if he did do that, but he didn't do only in America, he did like only on Mars because she's an alien,
only in AEW.
Just do that. That's where I think, because again, right now, as you mentioned, she is the athlete. She's awesome. If I were to tell someone else about her, though, now, don't know what she is. She's not doing the alien thing anymore. She's not with the best friends.
Let me tell you, she seems like it would be amazing if, like, we all hang out, with her and some friends at the bar, because they're hilarious, right? And they're a good time to be around. And they're quirky and funny. But that doesn't scream pro wrestler to me, right? Like, she's, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Yep.
Go ahead. You got something for us?
Jeffrey still says you have to clip the one thing she did say that made absolutely no sense. Oh, I don't know that I caught that. I don't know what she.
Who? Statlander?
Yeah, who is that? Yeah, who are you? What are you talking about, Jeffrey? But we'll get back to the party here. What are you?
Yeah. So post match, Julia Hart jumps Willow Nightingale from behind, and then gets out of the ring. Mercedes Moné, who, look, I'm old. I get it. I'm 38. I'm on the other side of what's cool. I'm out of my prime. So I'm not trying to say
you do
like
a podcast.
I'm not trying. Well, we didn't. I literally podcast out of my prime. Remember when I had like broken tooth because I was jumping around at Mosaic?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, now I'm going to bed at 9:30.
I remember you podcasting eating a burger, having just got pulled over, bitching about a cop.
Yeah, I almost got shot by a cop because I didn't know he was pulling me over.
I remember you were almost dying from a spider bite, and you did a goddamn podcast.
Yeah, I didn't want to go to the hospital because fuck hospitals.
Yep.
Man, that almost killed me when they said that twice. Like this could have killed you. That really scared me. But Mercedes Moné, I don't know what the fuck she's wearing anymore. I don't like, again, it's not for me, and wrestling's big enough to where we can all have these things. But if you're gonna, here's my point about what she was wearing is I don't necessarily care of what she was wearing, but I ain't afraid of you if you jump in the ring looking like that. You know what I mean? Your high heels and barely, toothpick dress. I'm going to be fine. Run up on me. We'll see what's happened.
Yeah. So I'm also not, look, I mean, I understand a well-dressed person and is impressive and you look good, right? And so I understand that. I will say one of these things, like, I've always looked at designer stuff where I'm like, if you wouldn't ever actually wear this out in real public, then I'm not impressed, right? You're just like, look at this fucking weird thing I came up with. Like, okay, whatever. Now, this might not necessarily be that. Like, I could see her wearing that to a club, maybe. But kind of what you're saying is like, yeah, but that's the club, right? Like, why are you? It's not like you were coming out here for a large, gala event, right? This wasn't the retirement of Ric Flair or something, right? And everybody's in there dressed to the nines. You're doing commentary for a fight, right? Like, I get we suit up sometimes, but we don't, you know what I mean? We don't put on our club gear, I guess, right? Yeah. Like, that's what's different, yeah.
I guess when Julia Hart and Sky Blue are, cowering away, I'm like, why? That girl ain't going to do shit to you. Look how she's dressed, but that's just me.
Yeah, there's certainly not a great freedom of movement in that dress.
Yeah, unless she wants to
tip her naked, over. How's she going to stand back up very easily?
Yeah, or unless she wants to be naked by not her choice.
The last time I wore a dress like that, I couldn't Never mind. We'll just move on. Yeah.
All right, let's get to the next thing because this is where I have a little bit of problem. Dustin Rhodes backstage.
Yeah, I thought he was gone. I thought he was actually going over to the.
Well, but here's my point. Okay, so he says, I'm still got the fire. I'm 55 years old, which doesn't do you any favors. And I want to fight. So who does he fight? Butcher. And I like Butcher. But
have we ever heard Butcher talk before? Was that
not
the first
that
time?
Long. I think he said lines. Yeah, no, I think he said lines, but I don't think he said anything that much.
Yeah, I know I remember distinctly hearing the Blade say a thing or two. I just couldn't remember if we'd ever heard Butcher. And I didn't expect that, right? It didn't sound it wasn't like a Mike Tyson level like difference, but it was like, oh, that's not what I expected the Butcher to sound like.
Right. Yeah. My frustration with this segment, and I get it, they're going to fight on Rampage, and that should be fun. But this is where I get a tad, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Because we have a fucking roster where I haven't seen Miro since the last pay-per-view. Powerhouse Hobbs can't get featured every week, but we've got time for Dustin Rhodes and then
the Butcher, who like is not in anybody's long-term plans for anything, right? Like, we're not like he's a fill-in guy, right? Like, he's a utility player, right? And here, like, we will say this, we love the Butcher, and so does this threader here, right? Chris Farrell says Butcher does have a great mustache. Hashtag AEW Dynamite. And yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, is this felt to me like not only was the Butcher voice different than I expected, that's not necessarily what's throwing me off. It was that he just spoke like it was just two softball buddies, and one was like upset that he wasn't being considered as, able to beat him, right? He was just like, hey, Dustin. No, the Butcher, I thought you were coming in like, hell's coming for you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm running through or something. No, it was just like, I'm going to show you I deserve respect. It was basically it. And I was like, wait a minute, Butcher? Like, you know what I mean? And he kind of got punked out by Dustin Rhodes, who didn't really even say anything back, right? You know what I mean? He said some weird nonsense too, like, I've been up and down the road and I'll show you. Like, I was like, whatever, guy. Yeah, it felt like two old guys trying to show who could lift the chair higher. Like,
Well, and even more to that point is, as I mentioned, my frustration is that we have such a stacked roster. No offense to either of these two wrestlers, but I don't want to see them on my TV. And more so of that is that neither one did anything different. If I were to tell you, hey, we're going to do a backstage interview with Dustin Rhodes and Butcher, you would think it would sound exactly like that. We didn't get some origin story from Butcher. We didn't get any, right? Yeah, we didn't get any revelation or change of character from Dustin Rhodes. It was just Phil. And I was like, dude, we don't have that much TV time to just be filling for fun. Like, I didn't like that at all.
I didn't either.
But we get that at Rampage, which again, I don't like that at all either. That's why you need house shows. That should be a house show match, but I digress. Next up, we get my guy. I mark out for this because I grew up watching Turner Classic Movies. Apparently, you don't know who the fuck this is, which is aggravating because you should, and probably the rest of the crowd and the fucking podcasting and YouTube audience don't know who it is because you guys are unwashed and heathens needing to educate and class yourself up. We had Ben Makowitz from Turner Classic Movies, which, side quest, Ben Makowitz, you know what his grandfather did? He wrote Citizen Kane. He wrote Citizen Kane, one of the greatest movies of all time, right?
Yeah.
And just, and I get it, it's wrestling, but like, let's try. Tony Storm, RJ City, God bless you for trying to get a new crowd. This is the kind of stuff that I'm saying AEW needs to take more swings at. Go ahead. Do
you want me to say something that's going to anger you? Probably more than anything I've told you ever from the start of this podcast, based on what you just said. I've never seen Citizen Kane, and I'm okay with that. This is why you got to watch the YouTube live stream, because Tom I think he died. I think Tom faded out in his chair, I think his blood pressure rose so hard. I should probably call his wife and tell her to check on Tom.
Man. Yes, Jeffrey Sills, thank you so much. Citizen Kane is a must watch.
I'm sure it is.
1,000,000%. And here's the thing. It's considered by most that are like critics, the greatest movie of all time. I'm not going to go that far. However, I am going to say it is a capital.
I'm sure. I understand. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm to understand that that's what it is. Yeah. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. It's very, very good.
I should.
Yeah. Probably won't. Less ICP and more Citizen Kane. That's what I would tell you.
Yeah. God, ICP fell apart. That thing isn't a thing anymore, I don't think.
Oh, it's not?
I mean, it is, but that whole crew, like, fought and divided up.
No, that's sad.
The group ICP is still together, but like that whole, yeah.
No, I don't know.
You know,
I've never heard a thing from them. But this is what I was going to say. I like this. So Tony Storm does great. She should have thrown the shoe to hit Ben Makowitz. That was the only thing I would have said needed to change, because she said watch for the shoe and she just threw it up. Like, I get watch, but like, watch for the shoe originated by I'm throwing it at your head. You know what I mean? So I thought she should have threw it at him.
But now maybe he wasn't down, right?
Yeah, maybe he was like, I don't know what the fuck to do there. So, splitting hairs there. But this is the type of stuff that I think, as I mentioned, AEW needs to take more swings at. Go back to some of the more fun moments in Dynamite history. Rick Ross, you a big motherfucker, right? We have that. We have
you a big motherfucker.
Right, exactly. You've got West Side Gun rapping Daniel Garcia out. You've got you got Tech 9 when they're in Kansas City hanging out with Swerve Strickland. Like, if you're not, because as Tony Khan will say, they're a challenger brand. So you're not necessarily going to get, as Seth Rollins was on Good Morning Football on the NFL Network, those kind of spots. So then you got to go to the Ben Makowitz, Rick Ross's, West Side Gun, like the real culture stuff. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be music. Like I said, Ben Wakewitz's Turner Classic Movies, but like that kind of
but
stuff.
You find
is where
those
you need
famous
to go.
people that are wrestling fans and you get them to the show somehow. If you got to pay for them to get there, get a spot, you know?
Well, and even, the synergy, as they call it, the TNT umbrella is with Discovery, Food Network, obviously Turner Classic Movies, TBS. Shaq was there, because he's part of the NBA on TNT crew. You have the options, you know what I'm saying? So like, that's what I just think you should do a little bit more of. And that is exciting as a wrestling fan who gets tired of the tropes of backflip, body slam, suicide dive, pin, kick out,
I forgot about the whole Rick Ross.
You a big motherfucker.
Because Keith Lee's reaction to that, right, where he's like, "Oh fuck," and he's like, "Fucking like."
Well, he's like, "You ain't wrong."
I mean, he's not wrong.
Shouldn't have said it, but you ain't wrong.
It's like, you guys see, I didn't tell him to say that shit.
Yeah, I
love it.
I just think it's great, and as we mentioned, or as I mentioned, I should say, the synergy. Get some Food Network people in this motherfucker. I want to see Bobby Flay, right? Have Bobby Flay as the chef for Mercedes Monet because she's a CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't we get one of those cooking challenge shows where it's like 3 wrestlers doing it for charity or something, right? And
well, so they have done, because again, I am a Food Network aholic, as you could call it. They have done, it was after she left, Jade Cargill on one side and Willow Nightingale on the other as a sous chef for 2 chefs doing a competition. But I'm saying move one of those chefs, because perfect example. You could do 2 different ways. You could have Matthew and Nicholas is using Tony Khan's money as prudently as they should as executive vice presidents. They have Bobby Flay, who is considered, Bobby Flay doesn't suck. You give him your signature dish. He'll cook it better than you. You know that's true. And I just used him as an example. Guy Fieri.
As good as we cook possum around here.
Yeah. But Guy Fieri, you could use any of these guys is what I'm getting at. Bobby Flay is more upscale, but this is my example. You could say the Young Bucks need to be having the best nutrition for their pay-per-view match.
We commissioned a private chef for the evening, and Bobby Flay comes.
Bobby Flay's like, what the fuck did I get myself into, right?
He's like, hold on, chef for the evening. I thought this was a fucking guest appearance. And they're like, get in the kitchen, bitch. He's like, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah. And yes, Bobby Flay and his puns are so bad. Yes, it's the fucking worst. And I don't like it when he wins either, although sometimes I do. Anyhow, we're getting off a side tangent. Or you could have...
Sounds like we need to do a Bobby Flay podcast. That's what it sounds like.
Someone... Well, hold on. If someone watches... This is a call out to anyone. If you watch any of the baking championships, spring, summer, Halloween, holiday, any of those, and you want to talk a podcast, I'll do it with you fucking right now. I'll stop this podcast and do that podcast. I will do that right now. No, I'm kidding.
Job opening here on the All Elite Wrap-Up.
But then...
Do we have any TEDs? Is there a TED out there that'll fit? That'll make it easy on me.
But you could do, for example, let's try to think of like the everyday guy, right? Who would be a good everyday guy? The best friends, possibly?
In wrestling? Yeah.
Yeah,
Chuck,
in AEW.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chuck and Trent. Yeah, and even Orange Cassidy. Have them in the back of a fucking classic car with Guy Fieri driving to the fucking arena, right? Guys just hanging out. They went to a diner or dive or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And Jesse Palmer is fucking good. He's going to be the voice of your video game, your college football game, and he hosts the baking championships.
Yep.
Best friends on Chopped. Anyhow, just that's what I want to see more of. I was having this discussion. This is a long-winded way of I was having this discussion on a Discord channel that I'm on. And they're like, oh, Osprey and this. And it's like, yes, but if you're only going to cater to that person, you're not going to get any bigger. Because in my opinion, everyone who loves Osprey is already watching. So like, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, and this, since we talked about Bobby Flay, nobody's a better chef than the Bear. So just gotta.
You love that show, don't you?
That's because it's a good
It's
show.
so
It's a good show.
fucking
You told me
good.
it's a good show. It's a good show. Yeah. When is season 3 starting? It's good stuff.
June.
Okay, that's too far away.
Yeah, it starts soon.
Yeah. It's good stuff. It's a good show. It's really good. It's done really well.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm writing down a note here because, again, content is king and attention is currency. I'm going to try to do the best 5 AEW crossovers with the brands that they currently work with. So Discovery, Food Network, TNT, TBS. I want to do that. I'm going to try. I'm going to write it down.
Like it. I like it. All right. Tom's writing stuff down. Look at that. He's putting in effort.
I love it. It's great.
He loves it. He's been a great actor since Shameless, which is one of my shows. Unfortunately, with Shameless, I faded out in the last several seasons. I think when a show goes too long, I've said this several times on here, right? They always turn into characters of themselves, right? The dumb person becomes a massive idiot. The slightly slutty person is an absolute whore by the end of the time, right? Like all of that kind of stuff. And I feel like Shameless got that way at the end. But Shameless first several seasons was fucking fire television. Great stuff.
Very good. Yes, I've seen a couple of the episodes from the earlier seasons. They were good. All right, let's get back on track here because after the Tony Storm fun stuff, we get a tag team title tournament first round match. It's Orange Cassidy and Trent, because again, Chuck is hurt, versus the Kingdom. Tim, what'd you think of this second first round match that we had on Dynamite?
Fun tag team match. This again felt like some AEW, right? Like this felt like let's get some young whippersnappers in here that can do everything. And I like that. I don't know who called it out specifically. Was it Taz or Shivani who said what you've been saying all along? Trent is the guy. Trent can do everything for you, right? They were saying like this guy doesn't get enough credit. Like he's there all the time. He's working everything. He can go with this guy. He can go with that guy. You know, they said it in the kayfabe way that you've been saying it, that he's the workhorse, Doug.
Yeah. I as much as, and I'll say it just one more time, is as much as Moxley is the MVP for the main event scene, Trent is that guy for you in the mid card to even opening matches. I just think he is outstanding and legitimately everything he's been given so far. So yeah, we get that matchup, and shocker, Tim. Actually, it was a little bit of a shocker. Orange Cassidy and Trent beat the Kingdom. So, that United Kingdom, they're fucking hitting on all cylinders. Wardlow loses to Joe. Kingdom can't even get out of the first round, pulling a fucking 2 years ago Purdue. And so, yeah, what the hell? Kingdom.
I hope we get Adam Cole throwing shade and putting them on ice and shit. I hope we get that. I do like that. They were like, oh, we didn't get the hug earlier. Let's get the hug now. And then the fucking EVP music hits. Like, fucking great timing. I'll say this. I feel like there's been a little bit of focused improvement on some production level things lately. Like they seem to kind of hit those marks a little better. There seems to be a plan in place. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like I have not got levels of enraged or frustration from what the fuck you didn't miss. You didn't see this. Yeah. They are definitely doing better at that, which credit to them. When you deserve criticism, you get criticism. And when you deserve praise, you should get praise. Yes. Yeah. So after the match, Orange Cassidy and Trent win. As you mentioned, they're going to do the hug. And then the Young Bucks come from their Cody-tron, whatever we're calling it, but then just
Cody
go
Vader.
back down. Yeah. But just come back down. As soon as they come back up, they're just like,
yeah, they like walked out for a second, pointed, and then we're like,
fuck you. Yeah.
I love who was it? Was like, you know how expensive it is to run that thing? I think it was Tony.
Yeah. It was done very well. And so that's who we get next. And early prediction, what do you got? You got Young Bucks or you got Orange Cassidy and Trent?
I think it's probably going to be Young Bucks if I had to guess, but it should be Orange Cassidy and Trent, and then by nature just the group best friends overall, and that's who the Young Bucks should have an initial like bitch fest with, right?
Yeah, that would give them something to do post tournament. Right. Yeah. I think
because look at you slackers, you don't take the job seriously. You show up in this fight, you don't even care about anything. Wake up, right? Like they're just like they would be the perfect foil for the EVPs.
I think if you have big plans for Orange Cassidy, Trent, Chuck storyline progression, they should win. I think you need to have that start of a feud or breakup or whatever it may be, right? The big moment in the best friends trio group to happen at a pay-per-view, not just to like Rampage. You get what I'm saying? But if I was betting, it's hard for me to think that after they main evented the last pay-per-view, the Young Bucks just wouldn't be on the next one. Right.
That's why I think it's going to be the Young Bucks winning, I think, unless it is they lose here and then they somehow get involved in the outcome at the thing. And
that's what I'm saying. Out of that. Something happens to the best friend.
Oh, here could be a great thing. So the best friends beat them, right? They're all upset, whatever. The best friends get there. Some other team gets there, right? The Young Bucks show up in the middle of that and stop the match because they're like, this is like, we reviewed tape and we've determined that this is invalid and blah, blah, blah. And we're going to reset and we're starting a tournament over. And then best friends going to be like, what the fuck? And they'll be like, and you're disqualified. And you're, you know what I mean? Like, and we just like, what the fuck? Now, that would be delaying things and we now would still not have tag team champions, but it would be fucking
Or you could just say, hey, we're inserting ourselves into this as a triple threat tag team match. Fuck you both. We should have been in here. Orange Cassidy cheated.
You do something where like it's the ref might have, missed, somebody getting a shoulder up and they come out, they're like, no. This is not how this tournament will end. We're implementing a mandatory new finals match and it'll be best friends against Matthew and Nicholas Jackson for the titles. And everyone's going to be like, what? And then they'll be like, boo. And then they beat him for the titles, right?
They could do that.
That could happen.
All right, Jeffrey Sills in the chat before we move on has some things to say here. So he says, first off,
this is my mic here.
I want them to push the best friends as champs and bring out the Freebird rule. You all right there, Tim?
Yeah, my microphone fell over.
Well, so I'll push back on that just a little bit. We wouldn't need the Freebird rule. We would just need them as the trios champs because we have a trios title.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
Would it be fair to have a trios rule for the tag titles when you have a trios title?
Right. That's where.
Well, you can miss me with the trios title. We can unify that and send it to ROH. I've said this, float it back and forth. It's just the trios title. We don't even necessarily brand it AEW ROH, or we just call it whichever one it's in at the moment, right? But we just call it the trios title. I wouldn't mind best friends, the trios of best friends versus the Acclaimed. Billy Gunn and Orange Cassidy sharing a ring together. They've done it once before. Do it again. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah.
And then Jeffrey Sills goes on to say they're going to bring in the Motor City Machine Guns because the Bucks did one of their moves. This is what I would say to that. Well, this is what I would say to that. The Bucks are aggressively online. Like, I don't think they can put their phone away. They're again, as I mentioned earlier, they're the type of pricks that would be like, watch what the internet does if we do one of their moves because they're free agents or whatever. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be shocked if it's that, right? Oh, we did another move of theirs. All people are going to think. And then they swerve them and it's actually Rocky Romero or,
who does the same move and you didn't know because you're a nerd and you don't watch wrestling.
Something like that. But Motor City Machine Guns, I like them. I will say this, and this is me being mean, and I don't mean to be mean.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I'm not with this because I do think they're two really good wrestlers. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I don't need to see more, I don't think. I think there's a reason why both of them became TNA world champions because the team kind of ran its course. And I understand new place, new things. But is it? Is it a new place? Because they've kind of worked with all these teams before, right? And so, I would miss on them.
Look, we're Motor City Machine Guns, right? We're saying like I've seen it all, right? And I never saw anything that was, again, yes, they can do all the things, but they're not doing it faster. They're not doing it bigger. They're not doing it stronger. They're not doing it more uniquely. They're not doing it with a different charismatic twist. So to me, it's pedestrian. It's fine. But I'm not I got to see Motor City Machine Guns in AEW against all these people. Like, no, I know exactly what that would look like. I don't have to see it. I can picture it in my mind. It's fine.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. Matchups that are like Adam Copeland, Edge, versus Suzuki, that's something that we're like, what the fuck? And that was fun,
Right.
right? Like that's something where if I tell you that matchup, you're like, I don't know how the fuck that goes, right? That is the kind of dream matches I think of. But yeah, if you tell me Motor City Machine Guns versus Top Flight, I know exactly how that is. Like, I'm good. I'm good. So that's just me. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, can
but
I
Tim,
put this out there? I would like to
yes.
start. We're going to start doing this. We're going to start cataloging. We're not going to start doing this because we're not. But we should
might.
catalog all the time people talk about these 5-star matches and then find them and quiz them in a year's time about the details of that match and see how much of it they remember.
Yeah. 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 No, that's a great idea. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's the bar, right? It's like, you might think it's a 5-star match now. Tell me in a year if you remember that they even fucking wrestled.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You ain't lying. We posted I clipped a fun part of the interview Adam Copeland did with Sam Roberts, where he talked about kind of the pros and cons of both the Attitude Era and today, because to his point, the Attitude Era in its moment was fucking fun. And I could tell people casually, this fucking porn star fought a pimp. Like, what? Yeah. You know what I mean?
They chopped his dick off.
Yeah, chopped his, and that's like, what the fuck are we doing here?
He fucking fed him his dog.
Yeah, big boss, man. A cop fed a dog to his owner.
And then she gave birth to a hand. Just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah.
But you're not necessarily going to watch that back, right? You're not going to watch.
I'm not like, man, do you remember the Head Shrinkers versus, the
Headbangers?
LOD 2000 and, or Headbangers is what I meant? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
no,
same
I'm not
thing.
going to-
Either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, he talked about that. And then he also talked about, today's wrestling is much better in that regard, but the character work is you can do all the moves, but why do I care? So I would say
want a happy medium between the two is all we're asking for. I feel like, and we don't feel like it's hard. We feel
just
like
be like MJF.
At a risk of speaking for you, Tom, here. Yes, MJF nails it perfectly. We want a little bit in between, and we feel like we're told we're out of line or attacking wrestling fandom at large by suggesting that. But I feel like, how can you be wanting anything different than what we're asking for?
Or Darby Allin.
The top moves is fine, but give me a little something, right? Give me the in between. I like that you can do some of that. I've said this a couple weeks back, and I think I need to hit it a few more times. I want less wrestling in my wrestling. I said this to you today. If you were to take me to a circus every week and show me the same acrobatics, the guy can do all the trapeze jumps and the twists, you start showing me that every week, I don't want to go to the circus after 3 weeks, right? Now, if you were setting up unique, different storylines about why he had to jump this crazy jump, right? Maybe you draw that out a little more, right? I think we need a little, yes, it is awesome that Vikingo can do a fucking 1900-degree spinning thing until he lands on somebody. So do that once a month at a pay-per-view when you've built up a story of why I care that he's going to do it to somebody. And I am way more impressed. Tom, if I was going to show you my wicked juggling skills that I don't have, if I showed it to you every time we got together, you're not impressed anymore, right? But if I did it once every couple months at parties, you're going to be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah. My boy's awesome at juggling, right?
Yeah.
It's the same fucking juggling. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah. Well, and even, I said be like MJF. MJF, even though he will say, I do agree with him, he is a generational talent. So that's like, hey, play basketball like LeBron. It's like, get the fuck on, right?
Right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
However, a great example, I think, of something that you could do almost at a bare minimum, and I'm not saying to hurt your body in this way, but he is also known for his moves, is a Darby Allin, right? We have kind of why he's so conflicted. He was in a truck with his uncle. His uncle was drinking. His uncle passed away. He felt guilty. That's kind of where this, and we've got some beats of why he's certain ways. And he's even done promos where he's like, this is a place where I feel comfortable being who I am. So that makes sense of why he's at AEW. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's the things that we're looking for. I don't need an MJF 20-minute promo from every fucking guy. Cause just like you said with the circus, then it would become the circus. Right. So yeah, I would say that. One thing that I forgot to mention as I talked about Darby Allin, though, he did mention how, I guess the whole reason he was going to climb that mountain was to help Tony Hawk's skate charity,
Oh,
and now he
no,
can't
yeah.
do that. And so they're like, hey, now here's again a crossover.
He's letting down the kids.
Yeah.
Fucking
But here's another great crossover moment. We've had Action Bronson as the tag partner for Hook, right?
Yeah.
You with me? Yeah.
I'm just still upset that Darby, now those kids are going to starve because of you, Darby.
Oh, easy.
I don't know what the charity is. Yeah, I don't
it was
know.
for skate parks. It's fine. Tony Hawk can pay for them himself.
Just
but
fucking
I
around.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know how we had Action Bronson as the tag partner for Hook?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It was fun.
Tony Hawk with Darby Allin.
Weren't we at that? That happened where we were at that, right?
We were at when Action Bronson went in the ring to take out 2.0. Then they did the match at the Ash.
The match later.
Arthur Ashe. Yeah.
But
Tony Hawk as Darby Allin's tag team partner in a wrestling match. Tell me, again, you want to get outside this bubble?
Oh, you could even do it cinematic match because you could call it a skate park match, right?
Oh, yeah.
Skate park slaughter. And then we got all the fancy cuts. We got all things. We'll get Tony Hawk flipping off a skateboard, landing on somebody, right? Like all the cool things. Then you get a couple other fucking, BMX style, whatever they call those X Sports guys to show up and do some cool things.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, here's the match. It's exactly like you said. It's a skate park match. Darby Allin and Tony Hawk.
Skate park slaughter.
Versus the Ash Boys.
Yes.
Right? Who would not love to see a skateboard hit one of those guys upside the head?
And they would show up with all the like goofy 80s like skate gear, right? They'd have the knee pads and shit, and they'd be out there half ollieing and shit, just trying to be like, look how fucking cool we are. Like they would sell for the Ass Boys being the Ass Boys, they will humiliate themselves for the game, right? Gotta love that.
That right there would be 100%. All right, let's get back on track. We get backstage. Kyle O'Reilly is saying he's sure that he'll still do it on his own.
We're still doing this. I don't know what this is.
I think eventually it's a Kick Ward lower.
Yeah.
But I will say this, each week he's looking more and more like a human.
He is. He's looking healthier.
He's looking healthier.
We got him out of the coma a few weeks ago, and he's slowly recovering.
Yeah, I will say that. So good for him on that regard.
You get him off the smack, and everything goes pretty good for Kyle O.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And also another thing I missed, Jeffrey Stills brought this up. He goes, did you notice the video packages they've been doing? They did a video package for Bryan Danielson as he talked about his upcoming match with Will Ospreay. Thought that was
unique,
done well
and different. Yeah, that was.
I like that. But we get another video package here where
said,
Adam
I guess
Copeland,
they listened to Baby Ice Cube. That's funny. He was suggesting stuff like that.
Good. Listen,
he's a big wrestling fan, though.
Oh yeah, of course. But we get a video package from Adam Copeland, who won the TNT title last week, and he says the Cope Open is back up for business. So Tim, I'm going to task you with two things. One, who would you put as the first person? And two, who would you put as the person we pay this off with, right? The Cope Open.
Powerhouse Hobbs is the first person. I'm bringing Adam Copeland to be like, oh, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, did I want to do this? Did I? And then, have him fucking barely pull it out, right? I would try to. I know we don't want to shit on Powerhouse Hobbs, but, make it look like the veteran, the opportunist guy, you know what I mean? Figured it out in the end by, outsmarting him or something, right?
Yeah, almost copy the match that Powerhouse Hobbs had with Jericho, except for have Copeland win, right? Where it's 98% Powerhouse Hobbs. Haha, I got a small package. I won, right?
But you didn't know if you do this right here, you know what I mean? It makes you go oh, fuck, and now you roll up and pull the tights and we're out of here.
If you really wanted to have fun starting it with Powerhouse Hobbs, you could do a mini storyline with still doing an open challenge by saying Adam Copeland's doing the open challenge. First week, it is Powerhouse Hobbs, right? He beats him. Well, Don Callis goes, no, fuck that. That's bullshit. Next week, it's Kyle Fletcher. And Adam Copeland goes, whoever opens or whoever answers the open challenge, that's who it is. And so you go back, Adam Copeland goes, all right, who is it? You go backstage and it's Don Callis telling him to beat up Sammy Guevara or something like that. And next is Kyle Fletcher.
Them, right? Yeah.
And then next is Takeshita. And then next, you just keep bringing this whole thing and then you can then move off of that. But that'd be a fun little interim story.
Or even it's just Powerhouse Hobbs, right? Like every time he's like, whoever opens the thing, and somebody comes out and the music hits, and they're like, yeah, and Powerhouse Hobbs comes and flings them off into the thing, and he's like, I'm here. And he's like, you again?
Damn it. All right. Yeah. That would actually be fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then, okay. So Cope Open is back up for business. And then
is Collision the Adam Copeland show now? Are we trying to do with that what we did with CM Punk?
Well, I think the TNT title is the Collision title.
It's the Collision show. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because if you notice, it was Christian before Adam Copeland kind of did it. So I think that's where that title might live, which is, hey, it's cool.
Jeffrey Sills brought up last week, he said he liked the storyline where we said it's the Cope Open, but he's slowly turning heel. So I think you would then pay that off with Danny Garcia. I think that's where you would ultimately end it, where we're all behind the fucking dancing, and now he's turned full-fledged like, you used to love me! Fuck this guy. Look at him. It looks like a goddamn Jersey Shore reject. And we're all like, hey, man, chill out. And he's like, no, fuck him. And he's like, I'm about to get rated R in this bitch. And then,
yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. In my mind, if depending on how long you want to do it, you could do the babyface mini storyline with Don Callis. That ends. Then you go back to an open, and then you're getting Top Flight 1, Action Andretti, Top Flight 2.
Big Bill.
Yeah, Big Bill. Don't do Ricky Starks, but yes, someone like that. Daddy Ass, or not Daddy Ass, Daddy Magic, right? One
Daddy
of those
Magic,
guys. But then, to your point, he's like, why the fuck are all these young guys thinking they could step to
you guys
me?
Cheering all these people. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be cheering me.
And just the disrespect of like, these motherfuckers think they could really beat me. How dare they think they could beat me? And if you wanted to, because another team needs a little bit of a refresh, and they're best friends, FTR kind of does the grumpy old men of like, we don't like fun either, and then there you go.
They're all three like veterans. We're going to show you how to do this.
Yeah.
The real tough old guys. The gray hair gang. So the impetus for this though is we're doing the happy Cope Open, and then some of these guys are nearly getting the better of them, and they're fan favorites, right? These are people are fucking cheering, right? We love them all. Everybody's like, and then he's in the back, and he's just like, whew, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of lamenting over that, and maybe even Renee kind of mentioned somehow like, man, there's been a lot of fan favorites, whatever, and then we get Christian walking by and be like, look at you. You know what I mean? Like, you used to fucking smack kids around, like you wouldn't let anybody get over on you like that. Like she's talking about him in your interview. You're a chump, right? Or just something. And then he's like, bitch, you fucking. And then, then we see each week, he's like, he's like, was that motherfucker right? Yes.
I mean, he would listen to him, right? He would listen to him.
Just one little nugget. That's all it took, because Christian's a mastermind, right? Just get something bounced around the back of his head. Be like, you must have forgot who they were. They didn't forget who you were. You forgot who you were.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. All right, let's get to the main event here. We get a fun one, the number one contenders match, which, LOL, it's Takeshita versus Swerve Strickland. Why did we do that? We should have announced the match, but Takeshita versus Swerve Strickland. And Tim, I said this on our threads, and I'll say it on the podcast. My favorite part. So let me back up. There are a million reasons, I believe, to watch AEW Dynamite. So much great athleticism, if that's your thing, storytelling, fun one-liners. Earlier, Jeffrey Sills brought up that Taz always has a Jones, right? So it's a roll-up Jones or body slam Jones. That's a fun thing.
Tony Storm.
Yep, Tony Storm. You get Ben Makowitz sometimes. Mwah. But my favorite thing is the white people trying to stay with Prince Nana.
Yeah, trying to do the Nana. Yeah. Yes.
They're trying so.
Yeah, they're really. We're supposed to do this now. Yeah.
Wait, he's jumping back around. What the fuck is this?
Well, and then it's groups of white people, and that it makes it worse, right? Because you can't. There's nobody to mirror. Nobody to mimic, you know what I mean?
It's the best. It's the best. Yes. I love it so much.
Yes. We'll get to see it live in St. Louis at Dynasty.
I know.
It's going to be great.
I know.
We'll be those white people trying to do it.
Well, I think you have a video of me being one of those white people.
Yes, we will be those guys. Yeah, well, we're giving back. See what I mean? They provided entertainment to us. We'll provide it back.
Yeah, entertainment. We'll see. But this main event had all your fun things, right? All the fun German suplexes, brain busters, neck breakers, sit out F5.
This was hard hitting.
All the stuff. Yeah, and of course, right? Yeah. Duh. But Swerve got the victory. This is again the story
we all saw it coming. Yeah.
Right. And so Swerve wins and he gets the pin. And then we go backstage, and Samoa Joe basically, I'm paraphrasing, says like, "Oh man, you fucked up. You wanted this. I'm gonna make sure that you know that you didn't. Bye, bitch." And then that's how we end the episode.
Well, and this was a significant overrun too, right? This went 10 minutes over, I feel like.
5. And I think they have got permission, kind of like how back in the day Nitro would get the 5 minutes. I think this is it. TBS, yeah.
Yep. Catch the people tuning in for whatever's next and be like, what is this thing? Who's this fucking big fat guy yelling now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's your episode of AEW Dynamite. Again, we got Collision back at its regular scheduled time on Saturday at 7 p.m. in the One True Time Zone.
Home Standard Time.
Home Standard Time, Arrowhead Time. We'll see if it's Arrowhead Time. They might leave town. Fucking, I don't want to get into that.
Might come over to my side of the fence over here.
Fucking good.
Might raise my property values by
exactly. Yeah. Trust me, mine went up 32% this last year. So by all means, you take the fucking team. It's a 10-minute drive, 10 minutes more for me. I don't fucking care. Go put it next to the racetrack, assholes.
Yeah.
Vote no if you're in Kansas City. That's all I'll say. But Dynamite.
Dynamite
coming up.
Was great. We've got one more threads here too. Here it says from Damn Tourist again. He says, still soaking it in, but man, we are spoiled as wrestling fans. Tonight we had not one, but 2 match of the year candidates. We had a fast, fun women's 4-way, 2 great tag matches, and the only downside was Jericho giving the most meh backstage interview. Please let that angle end with Hook, seeing the inevitable double cross, turning it around and murdering Jericho. It's a good time to love wrestling. Hashtag AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, I didn't include Jericho because I didn't think it was anything interesting.
You know, I saw somebody said the one thing we might be able to get Jericho to help Hook with is promo work. He's bad. Like,
yeah, but I don't. I think he's bad because I don't know what they're telling him. Because sometimes freedom isn't always great, especially when you're
if you don't have an idea. Yeah,
if you don't have an idea and they say go out there. Well, fuck, what am I?
If you hired me and said, I'm giving you freedom to work, but you never showed me what I was supposed to be doing, that's not cool. That's bad. That's worse. Right? I'd rather you micromanage me. Yeah.
Right. And so I feel like Hook has a little bit of that where be cool. All right. Be mysterious. Action.
Yeah.
Respect.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he really is being told.
Yeah, it may not be completely his fault, but it ain't whatever they've had him say so far. I'm like, whoa, we need somebody else. Either somebody's got to talk for him or we got to craft something for him to say very specifically.
I still think he should never talk. I think the coolest thing is the mystery.
Is that he doesn't talk. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
I don't want to hear him again.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, because at this point, if you're talking, I'm saying you need to go to acting classes because you need to learn cadence and you know what I mean? Like, and speaking forthright and with purpose because you don't have it. It's not coming out, at least on TV.
Even if he was a good speaker, it's kind of like the Butcher thing that you had mentioned earlier.
You don't expect that. Yeah, right.
But like Butcher, before you heard him, you thought menacing and a cleaver to and then you heard him and you're like, well, now he's just a guy. Kind of like Hook, right? Hook is mysterious. He doesn't even look at his opponent. He just gets told when the
more Orange Cassidy with Hook, right? Where he can just be like, she'll be like, they said this, and then they said they were going to do this to you, and then this. What do you say to that? And be like, we'll see. You know what I mean? Even nothing. Well, nothing. All right. Yeah. I mean, I would prefer nothing, but yeah.
No. What I'm saying, Tim, is I would never do a promo with him. He'd never. Did you remember the movie Warrior? Had Tom Hardy in it.
Yeah.
He plays an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Remember how he didn't say fucking anything?
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know he spoke in the movie, but
it's hard to do in pro wrestling because we throw everybody out there to be like, fucking look at me, let's celebrate. It's hard to do.
Hey, we went 2 years, and I'm not saying he's that bad, but I'm saying we went 2 years with never hearing a word from Goldberg, and we said, what would it look like if Goldberg took on Austin? You know what I mean?
True.
A little of that. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Ass kicker.
Yeah, in fact, when we heard Goldberg start talking, we were like, ugh.
You know. Now, his last kind of at the end, his promos were pretty good, but yeah.
Better. Very much better. Him.
Hey, we got a new person in the chat before we wrap up here. Who's the damn champ?
The damn
Shout out
champ.
Sean Ranklin? Did I fall for something?
I don't know. Is that
like
with
a
the movie
Seymour
you guys
Butts?
are talking about there? Is that what?
I don't know. Is that like a Seymour Butts that I just said or something? Anyhow.
Yeah.
For those.
Sean Ranklin? Is that what it says?
That's what it says.
Ranklin. Sean Ranklin.
I love it.
I don't know who that is.
Well, thanks, pal.
You might have to tell us who that is. Or if you were just wanting us to say shout out to Sean Ranklin for you. This is the shout out to Sean Ranklin, I guess. But you caught us at the end, the damn champ. So we appreciate you being here, and we'll appreciate you being here the next damn week when we do the damn podcast again. Right, Tom?
Exactly.
We'll leave you with that. Until next time, we are excited about this episode of AEW Dynamite and can't wait until next week.